This man is the English astronomer Edmund Halley. You guys might know him from Halley's Comet. The guy was an absolute genius for so many things that it will take up whole nother video. The only thing he did not do was discover the comet named after him.
Anyway, Halley in his lifetime had proposed a procedure to calculate the distance between Sun and Earth. It involved an astronomical phenomenon of great importance.
Which one?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the transit of Venus. Transit of Venus. Transit of Venus. Well, stick around till the end to find out.
The transit of Venus is the passage of planet Venus across the face of the Sun. You just have to observe Venus when it does that and use some simple mathematics, particularly triangulation, and boom, you have the distance between the Sun and the Earth.
Damn.
I know, right? But here's the deal. Transits of Venus come in pairs 8 years apart, and they don't come at all for a century or more. Last time it happened was in 2004 and 2012, and the next ones are in 2117 and 2125, which you won't be able to observe unless you are a turtle or an immortal. You know, the ones who never die.
Getting back to Halley, there were no transits during Halley's lifetime, but the next transit was about to show up in 1761, around 2 decades after Halley's death. And boy, were scientists ready this time. They set off for more than 100 locations around the globe: India, Serbia, China, South Africa, Indonesia, etc.
France alone dispatched 32 observers, Britain dispatched 18, and still others out of Sweden, Russia, Italy, Germany, Ireland, etc. It was about to be history's first cooperative international scientific venture, and also history's first failed cooperative international scientific venture.
Many observers were intercepted by war, sickness, and shipwreck. Those who did reach their destinations couldn't afford to celebrate, because as they opened their crates to find equipment broken or damaged by heat, they just wondered why they couldn't take flights instead. Well, because there weren't any.
Hello, Wright brothers from a century later. Jean Chap from France spent months traveling to Siberia by coach, boat, and sleigh, nursing his delicate instruments on every bump, only to find the last vital stretch blocked by unusually flooded rivers due to unusually heavy rains. And guess what? Locals blamed him for the rain as they saw him pointing strange instruments at the sky. He just managed to escape with his life. No measurements. Sad.
Another French astronomer, Guillaume Le Gentil. Let me just check how it's pronounced. Okay, Guillaume Le Gentil set off a year ahead of time to observe the transit from India, Pondicherry or Puducherry in particular, but various setbacks left him in sea on the day of transit. Worst place to be since steady measurements won't be possible at all. Heartbroken but still optimistic, he continued to India for the next transit of 1769. Had 8 years to prepare, built a first-class viewing station, tested his instruments multiple times, and had everything prepared in a perfect state. 8 years later, the day had come. On the morning of transit, 4th June 1769, just as planet Venus began to pass, a cloud slid in front of Sun and remained there for almost exactly the duration of transit, 3 hours, 14 minutes and 7 seconds.
Poor fella packed his instruments and set off to the nearest port to return. But that's not the end. Check this out. He caught the intestine infection en route to the port. He had to wait for another year in India before finally making it into the ship. And that's not still the end.
Good God.
He got nearly wrecked by a hurricane off the African coast. And when he reached home at last after 11.5 years, his relatives had him declared dead and captured his property. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call a bad luck, and not a good luck.
Britain's Charles Mason,
Not Manson.
exactly, set off to Sumatra. Just after one night at sea, their ship was attacked by a French warship. They got to know that Sumatra had fallen to the French, and so they had to observe the transit from the Cape of Good Hope. No, that's not metaphorical, it's actually a place in South Africa.
The good old South Africa.
Also, not such a good place for observing the transit.
Oh. On his way home, he met the famous British astronomer Neville Maskelyne, whose observations, by the way, had also been thwarted due to clouds.
Now, this history of Maskelyne and Mason is also an interesting one, and it will be covered in another video when we discuss how do we know the mass of Earth. But for that, you have to subscribe to the channel right now and like the video and drop a comment if possible. And if it's not too much to ask, share with your friends. Just do it. Just do it.
All in all, scientists were focused to the conclusion that the transit measurements of 1761 were essentially a failure.
Finally, successful charting of the transit was done by a little-known Yorkshire-born sea captain named James Cook, who watched the 1769 transit from a hilltop in Tahiti. Tahiti. It's a French island.
And there was now enough information for the French astronomer Joseph Lalande to calculate that the mean distance from the Sun to the Earth was around 150 million kilometers. That is 149.597870691 million kilometers to be precise. Great success.
So that's how, ladies and gentlemen, after so many setbacks, disasters and sacrifices, do we know the distance between us and that huge, sleep-snatching yellow circle?
You mean sphere?
Shut up. So much to just have a position in space.